game that changed my life. Impressive title. Hey guys, it's Gurs. Today I wanted to share something with you all that is from my childhood and helped me become the person I am today. It's a game called Impressive Title. I know a lot of you are probably super confused. Is that really the name of the game? I've never heard of it before. What kind of game could possibly change your life that has that kind of title? So hear me out, okay? This is kind of a ride. You are right. This shouldn't be a game you've heard of. And if you have heard of it, you likely are one of the few who ever knew this game existed. This game was created back around 2006, if I'm correct, by a college student who happened to be interested in making a game you could run around as an animal in. At the time, everyone was on DeviantArt. This was back when DeviantArt was actually a good website. And I discovered the existence of this game through screenshots I found posted on DeviantArt. At first I was like, what? There's actually a game you can play as animals in? Now, young furry me was all over this pretty fast with my parents' laptop that I hogged 24/7. I discovered this game around 2008, I think, so technology is nowhere near as good as it is now, especially with laptops. I dug for hours trying to find this game. I think I ended up having to comment on the screenshot asking for where I could find this game, and eventually they gave me the link to the website. This game was super homemade. It was like held together with duct tape. It was a learning student's project after all. For about another few months to a year, the game was low poly and stylized, like this. But honestly, I didn't care. It was all I needed to throw my imagination into it and have fun. Getting it running took forever, as I tried for weeks to get it working, but my computer kept thinking it was a virus. Thankfully it wasn't. Eventually it worked though. I joined the forums and immediately jumped online. This game looked like such a fever dream now that I look back onto it. I mean, look! Little old me didn't care though. I was so ready to play around as an animal character, specifically a lion. That was all you could be at the time. This is probably one of the reasons I still prefer to create feline characters to this day. At this time frame of the game, it barely had a few thousand people playing probably. I have no exact memory of how active this game was. It was definitely a hole-in-the-wall game, and at this time nothing like Steam existed to help promote and support small game makers like this student. This student's name was KovuTLK on DeviantArt, by the way, and their account is still on DeviantArt. Also, side note, this game was and still is completely non-profit. I don't think a single maker or mod behind this game got a cent for what they did developing this game. Anyway, I logged in for the first time to find beautiful music. I had no idea at the time that they were borrowing music from games like World of Warcraft and Skyrim. It is a homemade niche game after all. To this day, I still associate those songs with Impressive Title before the games they actually were from. I created my account on the game and went straight to the character creator. The options at this point in time were extremely limited. You could only choose a few colors to change on your character, a few different body parts, and if you wanted wings or not. This game had a flying mechanic? Whoa, that was impressive to me at the time. I hit OK and loaded into the world for the first time. The map I loaded into was a world called Default. I know, right? So cool. Little 13-year-old Gurs loved it though. I ran around for hours on this game. I met a few people who seemed just as confused and new to the game as I was. Nothing else really happened that day, but I was hooked. As time went on, this game gained some form of popularity with the furry type community. Mostly kids like me who just liked the idea of making animal characters since almost no video games did that at the time. So if you went through a Warrior Cats RP phase, this would have been where you would end up. There was a community forming around this little barely held together game. There were moderators and admins all doing their best to keep the game running and safe. People were mostly finding this game from DeviantArt, where screenshots of the game were spreading. There wasn't any advertising for this game at all. I was completely immersed and busy creating all kinds of lion characters to run around with. Soon enough, videos were being posted on YouTube of these shenanigans, and the game slowly got enough attention to where the game was being improved upon slowly over time. The polygons were smoothed out. Markings, came to the game maybe just under a year after I joined, and eventually animals were added for you to hunt or tame as pets. Kinda weird to have a pet as a lion, but okay. This game was thriving. Despite how homemade it was, people loved it. It was their center for creativity. Sometimes you'd run into someone with a custom skin or UV sheet, what we called a preset, that people used to fine-tune their character texture model. And oh my, everyone wanted to be friends with someone who had a preset. They were like the nobles of the community. It was very rare and hard at the time to get one, so that's why it was made a big deal. And occasionally, you'd run into admins or mods in the game who would come in and people would swarm them. They'd play along with us, make earthquakes happen. Literally, it was a function in the game only admins could use. They'd also spawn creatures for us to tame. I was involved in this game for years. I met a lot of my first online friends there, and it kickstarted me into drawing a lot more. That's mostly why this game changed my life. It became something I loved. Kinda like how people really loved Neopets or Pokemon growing up. I had this weird game. One day though, everything changed. Somewhere around 2011, Kovu TLK announced they were shutting the game down in a few months. Everyone was heartbroken and shocked. Kovu simply couldn't keep up with the attention this game needed anymore, and said they were working on another project like this game, just newer. For a long time there was a lot of backlash towards Kovu for his decision, and I didn't know what to do with myself. How was I going to talk to my friends anymore? I was there the day they closed the game. Everyone was sitting together on a hill somewhere, talking about their awesome memories they made during the run of the game. Everyone partied and danced for hours together, sitting there with the mods and admins and even the creator of the game. It was cool to see, and it made me cry, honestly. The game was done. It was shut down. For about a year and a half, I didn't do much. I think I was playing Gaia Online, maybe? I still drew a lot of lion characters, though. Suddenly, Kovu TLK and some of his previous mods of IT announced a progress video on their next game project. It was called Feral Heart. I know a lot more people have heard of Feral Heart. It's still up today. Feral Heart was going to be like a more updated impressive title, and with a real title. They were also implementing a really cool function, map building. You could make your own maps in the game to run around in and share, as well as uploading your presets to the game whenever you wanted. That sold a lot of old IT players right away, including myself for the most part. Everyone was talking about it for a while, those of us who had been playing the old game anyway. The community at this point was easily around 6,000. That's just my estimate though. Feral Heart came out sometime in 2011, 2012 I think, and everyone jumped on it pretty quickly. The servers were having trouble during the first week of its release, and registering just on the website alone was hard, and was required for you to be able to play the game at all. Ultimately, I thought Feral Heart was cool, but it didn't have the same feeling or community as the previous game did, and so I didn't stay involved for too long. Though, a lot of new people came to Feral Heart and stayed, especially the Warrior Cats community. Oh boy, they were everywhere in that game. For a few more years, I kinda strayed from the FH and IT community. Impressive Title itself to me was completely dead. The original forums were gone too. All I had left were screenshots and old art posts I had favorited on DeviantArt. One day though, around 2013 or 2014, I forget exactly where or how, but I discovered Keto, or Keep Impressive Title Open. This was a website dedicated to the resources of the original Impressive Title game. They were given permission from Kovu TLK to create new IT servers and make their own games using some of his resources from the old game. I thought it was amazing. I looked all around at what was available. There were tons of these split-off IT servers. You just had to pick one. I couldn't believe that this little duct tape game was still existing in some form, especially with the high expectations of video games these days. I dabbled for a time in servers until I came across one called Dragon's Den, which seemed to be the most elaborate and stable version of the game I found. This server ran rather well, and I even met a few new friends there. My good friend Tokyuzilla is someone I met through this server. I've known her for about 5 years now, and even met her in person maybe 2 years after I met her in-game. At one point, I tried creating my own server of Impressive Title with the help of some friends, trying to make it as close to the original game as I could. I was attempting to bring back the old game. I called it Impressive Preset as a pun on presets, and was trying to make presets more available for players of these servers. I really enjoyed the art aspect of them. This server didn't gain much traction, and eventually we scrapped the idea. Now, you may be asking, Gers, why invest so much time in this game? Well, to be honest, I just couldn't let go of it. Even after growing up, I missed that point in my life. I had so much imagination and creative ideas, all fueled by that particular community. It was just so important to me. It was such a small group of people that were affected by the existence of this game too. I am honored and lucky to have been one of those people. I wanted to preserve one of my favorite childhood memories, just like anyone else would. I wanted to keep it alive so others could find it and experience what I did. It was never about how groundbreaking or not this game was. It certainly was never the most polished game, and it broke a lot, but that wasn't why I loved it. I loved it because of how it enabled me to find others like me. It gave me a platform for creativity I never thought I'd see. Everyone there was making their own stories. It was just fun. That is why this game changed my life. To this day, I am still involved in the old Impressive Title community. I even made friends with the previous mod of the original game. Their name is Tig. They made a lot of maps and assets for the original game, and it was an honor to be able to meet them. Today, I'm involved with this community by being a global moderator on Tig's Impressive Title server, Tribes of Wild. Tig has been working so hard on polishing this server as much as possible, and honestly, of all the ones I've been a part of, Tig's server beats them all out. I also see Tig's server as the truest successor of the original game, since Tig had a hand in developing things for the original. Tig still has work to do on their server, and is actually looking for more help to keep it going. If you feel like giving it a look, I'll leave the link to Tribes of Wild below. So, I hope you enjoyed this little story of the game that changed my life. It's a part of a video game history very little people know anything about, and I wanted to share my story and what I knew about the game so that its legacy can go on. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to me. I'll be uploading more videos soon. Thanks for watching. See you later.